What's going on, everybody? This is the Lower Midcard Podcast. I'm Kyle Driver.
And I'm Grind. And dude, this amount of wrestling is overwhelming. It's underappreciated. And it's like Christmas every single week, it seems like.
It's awesome.
And I'm enjoying all of it. From Saudi Arabia, the middle of bumfuck America. Yeah, I don't know where AEW Full Gear was, nor does anybody care other than what happened at Full Gear.
The Kia, it was like the Kia Forum or something like that.
Wherever that is. I mean, you might as well say the Hyundai Center, and I don't know what that is. I don't,
Hyundai Community Center.
Exactly, dude. It was a much smaller stadium arena than Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're starting off tonight. WWE Crown Jewel was a few weeks ago. It was actually November 4th to be exact. And it was what some are saying, it's like Christmas in July, It's WrestleMania, but not WrestleMania. That's what they're trying to do. And it felt that way on a much smaller scale. WrestleMania is 2 nights. It's really just everything and anything they can throw at the wall just to get your eyes, glued to the screen. But that's what this kind of was. And it started out with Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre, which, we had kind of talked about and whatnot. Yeah. And Drew McIntyre really had a shot, but overall Seth Rollins defeats Drew McIntyre, which I think most people were really shocked about. And at the end of the day, Drew's story is far from over.
Oh, right.
It just keeps getting more and more interesting for that guy. But Seth, man, is putting on some amazing performances.
Yeah. It just makes you wonder, like, when is he going to? Because this run that he has with the heavyweight title is incredible. Yeah, it's such an interesting run. Like, when's it going to happen? Right. So, I mean, at this point, it's just like, when? Who?
Yeah, exactly. And he's going through. I mean, he's gone through. I don't want to say the whole roster or a quarter of the roster, but it sure feels that way.
At least the heavy hitters.
Yeah. And there's only a few really that would make sense that are left. But we're getting pretty close. So we're only like 4 months, 4 or 5 months out from, WrestleMania. So we're not that far off, which means I'm starting to think more and more he's carrying it to Mania.
Yeah. I'm not going to disagree with you.
Yeah. And what's interesting is to bring this title into play. They did this at Night of Champions, 4 or 5 months ago. It feels longer than that. It feels like ages ago. But with that being said, it's relatively new, and it's cool to see that the first person that they chose the workhorse, right? But they also wanted it to mean something. And I think that's what we're starting to see. Like, I thought for sure he would have dropped it within the first 4 title defenses, and this was a way to kind of put him on a pedestal for a minute, move it on. But I think what they're doing here is they're building Seth up so that way when he drops it, it actually means something. And I think that's kind of where we are in wrestling in general. Like, if you look at any titles that are changing hands, the ones that are changing hands, they actually mean something. So
they're meaningful matches. Like, when it does change, it's they're keeping it engaged. It's not like a throwaway title or anything like that. Like, if you look at any of the titles right now, they're all people are working real hard to hold on to these titles, and they're not just like bouncing around or anything like that. It's not like the US titles, like the 24/7 title 2.0. To kind of touch on this one more time, coming out of this, my initial reaction was, what are you doing with Drew McIntyre? Right. Well, it's been a few weeks and we've kind of seen what this week specifically, we kind of saw, the detour that Drew's taking. It looks like we're going to get heel Drew McIntyre, Judgment Day Drew McIntyre, which
So that's that. So I don't know, and I'm not fully sold on like him being Judgment Day. I see him more of like a hired gun type guy.
Either way, it's gotten very interesting in that regard because there was really no roadmap to the average fan of like, what do you do with this guy? You know, he was just coming back from a contract that, you know, it was like, what was he going to go to AEW? You know, was he going to be a free agent? And to see him come back and then, you know, kind of initially get this title shot, it just seemed like that was what was going to happen. It made so much sense for him to be champion. And it's cool to see that, you know, a few weeks after him losing, there's still some roadmap for him because he is a big star. He is the face that I think can carry the WWE somewhat. He speaks well. He looks great. I mean, he looks like every action figure I played with as a kid, you know? And so I was really stoked to see that, you know, the roadmap for Drew is heading towards the Judgment Day. And that kind of brings up the next match, man. The following match was Rhea Ripley in the Fatal 5-Way versus the other 4 women, Nia Jax, Zoe Starks, and Shayna Baszler. Who am I missing? Am I missing someone? I'm probably missing someone.
There was Zoe Starks, Shayna Baszler, there was Nia Jax, Rhea, and then who's the 4th? Who's the 5th?
That's not good, dude. That's not good.
No, it's not.
No,
that's kind of like a testament to what the fucking women's division is right now.
Right, exactly. And with that being said, it was a dominant performance.
Yeah,
you know, there was some people who had their moments. Nia obviously doing Nia's stuff. Zoe being Zoe. Shayna was kind of in and out. I did note nothing impressive. However, they did call her, I believe as she walked out, they called her the baddest woman on the planet. And I thought I was like, oh, you bought the cheap version of Ronda Rousey, and you decided that it works better than Ronda because she's cheaper, she speaks better on a mic, and now she is Ronda Rousey. She had the same makeup with the black that just kind of went, it's like smeared back as Ronda, and she came out with the gi. And I was like, this is totally what they wanted. It reminds me of Razor Ramon or Diesel when Scott Hall and Kevin Nash left the WWE. They truly believe that they don't need Ronda Rousey. And you know what? Yeah. I'm there with them. I don't think they need Ronda. I also don't think that they need Ronda, you know, a half a Ronda. I don't think they need Shayna.
They don't.
And I thought it was kind of embarrassing that like Shayna can't even be her own person because her character's so bad that she has to imitate her best friend, right? And so,
although the her doing the submissions on like everyone that was wrestling was pretty dope.
Yeah, but
it was Raquel Rodriguez, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
That was the 5th one.
Which is a complete bummer, in my opinion, because the fact that we can't remember her name, she had a lot of hype around her less than 6 months ago.
Sure.
And it just tanked, dude. She really needed that teammate to really help her rise to the occasion. I don't know what's going on with the women's tag team division. It is such a fucking joke. Tag team division in WWE is a whole nother story in general, but Raquel really needs help. The whole women's division on Raw seems to need help, and Rhea Ripley in dominant fashion wins that match, man. Yeah, it's as simple as there is nothing other to say than mommy's always on top. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this one got me. The following match totally got me. Solo Sikoa versus John Cena. There had been rumors and things had been noted for at least the last few months. His schedule came out initially when he made this run, that he was only going to make a few pay-per-view appearances and he would be on SmackDown and whatnot. When I went to a house show, the WWE house show, I was really excited to see John. I thought maybe he would be there because the night before he was in Sacramento. So I thought for sure, him coming to San Francisco, it's right there. Sure enough, he didn't show up. And that's when I started to notice, I'm like, oh, he is so part-time and so limited to what he is doing. If they're not giving us any more dates by the time it gets towards the end of what he had scheduled out, he's probably done. And unfortunately, that was Crown Jewel. His last match on that list, or his last date, was Crown Jewel, and it was against Solo Sikoa. I think when we were talking about this, there wasn't really any reason that Solo needed to win other than to put him over. But John hadn't won something in it was 6 years, or I can't remember the amount of time, but it was it was a large amount of time that John had not won a singles match. And they had kind of boosted this, or boasted about this being the match that he would come back to singles competition and win. And it was very similar, in my opinion, to the Austin Theory match at WrestleMania. It was good, but I didn't need to see it, No. And Solo fucking wins.
It didn't make sense to me.
No.
It just didn't.
No, it's
just, cool. Solo wins, but fucking okay. What was the point?
Well, I guess they're really, Solo's getting bigger matches. He's getting, with Roman not being there, Solo is getting really big matches. And I guess that's what they're doing with him. It's to the point where Paul Heyman is with Solo every night on SmackDown. And, obviously he still responds to the tribal chief, but it looks like they're putting Solo in a position to be, the right hand, or the hand to the tribal chief kind of thing. It's bizarre. I like Solo. I think his persona is very Taz-esque, it's cool. It's cool. I just don't know if it's any better than a Jey Uso or a Jimmy Uso. And so I guess him winning over John in that regard kind of makes sense, because you're trying to push him to be this singles star. But it just seems like John's coming in, losing to too many people, and it's hurting everyone. I don't know how to respond other than that.
Yeah, I just I see what you're saying. They built up the whole he hasn't won. He's been on this losing streak. He hasn't won a singles match since fucking whenever. And then it's just okay, cool. We're gonna see a little bit of a a John Cena bump, and it's just cool. We get a John Cena win.
Yeah,
and he can be a happy boy and go on with his merry way and shoot Marine 20 or whatever. I don't know. But and then it's just cool. And then all right.
Yeah.
And then he walks away and he's waves and he's fucking, all right, bye. And okay.
It's so now what? And that's the bummer, is okay, so John Cena just disappears again. And
and it's okay, and he doesn't have any scheduled appearances for the rest of the year.
Not all.
And awesome. All right, whatever.
And it's just so wild, because unlike The Rock, unlike Stone Cold Steve Austin, guys that John Cena for years were compared to, even Hulk Hogan, right? The Mount Rushmore of people in the industry, John Cena was the poster boy for close to 20 years. What's different about John Cena that makes him not The Rock, that makes him not Stone Cold or Hulk Hogan, is the fact that he's coming back a lot. The Rock, when The Rock was done, The Rock would come back for 1 or 2 showcases. That was it. Even when he was having the feud for 2 years against John Cena, he had that run, and that was it. It wasn't like he was, John Cena has, if you think about it, John Cena's been the ref for the LA Knight match, against the Miz. John Cena's put himself in situations that John Cena didn't need to do. And sometimes, most times, less is more. And this is one of those things where, to protect John's legacy as a professional wrestler, less is fucking more. And John Cena will always, I think, have Hollywood, because now he's transcended and people know John probably maybe you could say more for being in Hollywood than they do know him as a wrestler. But it just, there's no way it helps his image losing to this many people.
Yeah.
It's kind of ugly and it was kind of hard to watch. And Solo, it was, I guess you could say it was a little different from the Theory John Cena match in the regard that Solo finished, John in almost a squash match kind of finish. It was dirty. And I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense is they're trying to make Solo be this bigger character. Moving on from that was probably my favorite match of the night. Logan Paul versus Rey Mysterio. We had talked about this banger of a match.
We knew it was. We knew it was going to be good.
High flying. Just, I mean, two really, really physically talented guys. And Logan gets the win via brass knuckles. Which sets off a whole nother thing we'll get into later. I mean, I want Logan to win. I want him to carry the belt to Mania. And I love the fact he's a heel. I think that plays right into the Paul brothers niche. Both of them are really good at being the heel. And it's hilarious what he's done with the belt already on social media. He's already crossed lines that other wrestlers can't cross. And so he is definitely going to bring new eyes to the United States title. I think that's pretty much it for that. Moving forward, Io Sky versus Bianca Belair for the WWE Women's title. Where do I begin with this? Wasn't Charlotte Flair in that match?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Wait. Yes.
Io Sky. I have it Io Sky versus Bianca Belair. Or was that... Fuck, am I confused? I'm going to go with what I see right here. Io Sky versus Bianca Belair. Io Sky defeats Bianca Belair.
Yeah, okay.
As you can tell, it definitely didn't leave an imprint in my mind. Everything Io Sky has done in her reign has been, kind of cheesy, kind of, she wins by a roll-up. It doesn't, there's nothing, the character's not doing anything for me. And I think we can actually talk about that later too, because her story since Crown Jewel has developed, which has gotten kind of interesting. I know you were all about it. You sent me a text, dude, you're gonna love SmackDown, and I was like, dude, don't tell me. I haven't watched it yet. And then three days later, I text you back like, fuck you, dude. So we'll talk about that probably here a little bit later. So let's move on. Cody Rhodes versus Damian Priest. Nothing really there to talk about. This is completely a filler for both sides. Damian Priest has not cashed in Money in the Bank at all. Don't understand what he's waiting on. I know he's talked about wanting to cash it in. And he actually at the beginning of the night tried to cash it in. He tried to cash it in on Seth and got ran out by Sami Zayn.
Yeah. You're right.
Sami Zayn came in and attacked him, and then they ended up running off, chasing each other. So once again, they're teasing it. But this match is really showing that like Cody Rhodes is kind of in limbo, and so is Damian Priest, where Damian Priest, the whole story for Damian is he going to cash it in? Is he going to win the title? Cody Rhodes is he going to finish the story? Right. And right now, we're 5 months away from WrestleMania. They're not going to let us in on those secrets. And so sure enough, they're the one who had the match. And, I believe Cody Rhodes defeated Damian Priest. Nothing to really touch on here. It's just another one of those matches that it's kind of in limbo. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then we had our main event, man. Main event. Roman Reigns versus LA Knight for the WWE Undisputed Universal title. Right. This is the first time Roman's defended his belt in 3 or 4 months, something like that. He now takes the time to walk to the ring as long as the Undertaker did. If not longer, and it's exhausting on my eyes. It's exhausting on my ears. And listen, as much as I'm a Roman Reigns fanboy, I just man, we're at this point where it's like there's nothing really there. Even with LA Knight, I'm like, there's no way that they're dropping this at Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
With like, little to no promotion. I mean, it's like they didn't hype up, 3 months of Roman Reigns returning or this fight. Like if you look at how much push Cody Rhodes versus Roman got, that last few months, man, it got a ton of push. And he didn't win there. So in my eyes, anybody who's going to beat Roman is going to get the hardest push you've ever seen. If you look at when Eddie Guerrero, defeated Brock Lesnar, it was this idea of like Eddie being sober, overcoming, doing it for his family. If you look at Cody and the finishing his story, that wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to end Roman's story. So LA Knight, who's like so hot, as hot as the sun, man, wasn't enough to put out Roman. And it was a great performance by both of them. I think LA Knight is definitely something special. He will be world champion. Hopefully sooner than later. But
yeah, I agree.
But I agree. The Roman thing, man, if anybody thinks Roman is losing anytime soon, you're watching the wrong show, because this is Roman's time. You can hate it all you want. I will tell you this though. I think when Roman's gone, Roman's gone. And because one, the amount of money he's made, I think that you'll see him a lot like The Rock or even Stone Cold, where he doesn't show up that often. I could be wrong, but I'm getting these vibes, man, where he's a company man, but he's also in it for this long haul. And when it's over, it's over. Like, give me one reason after this reign that he would need to come back? There's just no reason. And on top of that, it's not like he would need to validate anything. I just can't see it. So I think a lot of people need to really appreciate what they're seeing, even if they don't like it, because when this guy's gone, he's going to leave that legacy, man. And that's going to be it.
But here's, I'm going to challenge you on that one. So like a lot of people, they're not going to remember the point leading up to. A lot of times people are going to remember that last bit. How are you going out? And a lot of people are going to remember Roman Reigns being a boring fucking champion because he barely did anything. He was barely on TV. He barely defended his title. That's what people are going to remember. I get it. I understand. I'm able to, take a step back and appreciate the run for what it is. But most people, they can't be that objective. So people are going to remember that last bit versus the grand scheme of things.
The big question to add on to that is wrestling changing? Is wrestling in that regard changing just like most sports are, where, you look at players in the NBA, you look at players in football, you look at baseball players, they are not doing what people used to do. If you look at like baseball players, pitchers specifically, you used to have starting pitchers. Now you have pitchers who go 3 innings and then they get replaced immediately, and they never pitch full games. It's just not the way things work. So are we in a new era where literally you're going to see champions and more guys become more part-time, defend less, and in order for the belt to mean just as much, it not be defended as often? It's going to be more, I guess the right word would be like covenant. I can't find it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, but I do agree that it's changing.
Yeah.
In what direction? I don't know.
Okay. Edge, Sting, and Darby Allin defeat Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne.
Okay, move on.
Orange Cassidy defeats John Moxley for the AEW. I have it listed as Women's International.
It's the TNT. It's the TNT Championship. Okay. Great match. So this whole thing was it was a grudge match for Orange Cassidy because he never beat John Moxley for the TNT title.
Did he lose? He lost like last pay-per-view to John Moxley, right?
He lost, I don't think it was last pay-per-view, but he did lose the title to John Moxley. Okay. And then there was John Moxley had his run, and then Jon Moxley dropped the title. Orange Cassidy was able to regain that title, and then like it was a big deal for him. They had been building this up between Orange Cassidy and the Blackpool Combat Club, and this match was a big deal. So this was it. He's got that in the bag. He put it past him. He was able to beat Jon Moxley, and now he can go be fucking Orange Cassidy and do Orange Cassidy things. So It was a really good match. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's really good.
It was good.
Yeah.
Okay. Toni Storm defeats Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's World title.
Yeah, it was a solid match. I mean, you're looking at two really good competitors in the ring. I'm going to say this. I think in a lot of cases, if we're comparing apples to apples, I think AEW has a better women's division than the WWE.
Facts.
Right now, especially. But Toni Storm getting the title back, I think it's good. I like her like over dramatic Marilyn Monroe persona. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's different. It's kind of annoying, but I think annoying in a good way.
It was drawn out. It was drawn out after she won. Like I was like, okay, we get it. Can you leave the ring now, please? Like,
yeah. But I mean, Hikaru Shida was a really good champion. She's an incredible wrestler, and she's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. But solid match overall.
Cool. Ricky Starks and Big Bill win tag team titles in a ladder match.
Yeah, there was a fatal 4-way.
Okay.
And it was just chaos.
It was, dude. And you know what? My eyes are always stuck on Big Bill, and I'll tell you why. Because he had something really, really special in the WWE, and I feel like he's been lost ever since he came to AEW and he was in the Indies for that short amount of time. I feel like he's just been lost without his original tag team partner, who went absolutely bonkers and lost his.
He's still nuts.
Yeah, still crazy. But Ricky Starks, it was a weird like teammate. I feel like it doesn't fit what Big Bill really needs for long term. I'll let you talk about the match, but for me, I
think he's starting to find his way. Like I get it. Like pairing him up with Ricky Starks, it didn't make sense to me at first. I think it's starting to melt now. And I think it's great. It was like one of those like hired gun things, you know, like, hey, I'm going for these titles. You know, I need a fucking big, and you got him. You got Big Bill. Literally in his name.
Big Bill, dude.
Big fucking Bill, dude.
Yeah.
I think they're a good tag. I think the match was good. I mean, you had a bunch of heavy hitters in there. You had, you had FTR, Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, House of Black, which
I forgot about them. Yeah.
Malachi Black and Brody King are just fucking
awesome.
beasts.
Dude, that whole faction's amazing.
That faction's amazing. I loved the match. It was just chaos. It's what you would expect. You know, there was bodies being hurled everywhere and just meaty men slapping meat. Rush and Drilistico was also in the or Roosh and Drilistico was in the match as well. But it was a great match. You had people hitting their spots. It was compelling. It was engaging, and I'm not mad that Big Bill and Starks retained.
Gotcha. Yeah, Ricky Starks is just a weird one, man. He's got like
I love him. He takes a minute to grow. He's like a fungus.
Yeah. He doesn't. His character doesn't seem to do much for me. But I mean, I guess
if you've watched from beginning, like if you've seen where he was when he first started with AEW and where he's at now, the dude's come so far, and it's cool watching his whole just him developing as a talent and being more of a one of the top guys in AEW. It's awesome to see. Yeah. I hope I can't wait to see what else he's got. Yeah,
kudos to them, man. Yeah, kudos to Big Bill. I like seeing Big Bill doing stuff, man. I think he's good for the industry. The next one really caught me by surprise. Chris Statlander, your champion, versus Sky Blue and Julia Hart for the AEW TBS title. This one immediately, dude, like, okay, Chris Statlander, when she made her return, we talked about her because I had no fucking clue who she was. Yeah. Sure enough, she's your champion now. Sky Blue was she was going to be something big in the WWE. I truly think she was. and she's made her way over to AEW, which is really, really cool. And and then Julia Hart has been kind of the background of the House of Black for forever, and really the light has never been shined on her. And so in this match, when they made their entrances, Julia Hart had the best entrance, 100%. I was like, oh, she's something special. She's definitely something special. Sky Blue seems like she's still trying to find herself. A little bit. With the, it was very, oh my God, it reminded me of The Fiend with Alexa Bliss, when Alexa Bliss was, under the Fiend's spell or whatever she was doing. And she had that makeup done. It was very similar. And she kind of created this like persona where she would like stare at Chris Statlander. And I think she did it with Julia Hart as well, where she was kind of off. And I thought that was neat, but I feel like whatever Sky Blue had going was probably more of where she should be. I'm
interested to see, like, she's definitely going more of a heel route.
Yeah.
Because she was a face.
Exactly.
She was just kind of there in the middle, she was definitely more middle card stuff. And it was cool seeing her thrown into, the main event
for the women,
as far for the women, with the women's championship.
Yeah, because you're 1,000% right, because like Chris Statlander being as big as she is and as big of a name as she is, and Julia Hart being around for so long and being the backbone of House of Black, Sky Blue kind of just randomly is a random kind of fit in there, but I think that
I feel like her push was rushed
100%
to get her to that point.
Well, it's because they saw what she could potentially be, I think. And it's a little odd though, because like I said, it totally not the route I was expecting with the makeup and whatnot. But overall match was this is one of the matches that really got my attention. And I really wanted Julia Hart to win. She won. So
I'm not mad at the outcome of that one. I mean, even the missus watched that one with me. She's like, that was awesome.
This is what we're talking about though, with the women's division being so much better. It's just more stacked in every direction.
It is.
Moving on was, I'm going to say right now, like potentially, if not match of the year, Swerve Strickland versus Hangman Adam Page in a Texas death match. And all I got to say is I've seen a few of these in the modern era. I've never seen anyone drink anyone's blood before.
Adam Page, vampire confirmed.
Unreal, dude.
Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, and it was so just savage, man, and unhinged, and so much respect for both these guys. The staples to the face. I mean, literally.
Oh my God, dude. The fucking, like, the drop on the cinder block, like, there was shit that was happening during that match where I physically reacted.
Yeah.
And again, like, my wife was watching with me.
Yeah, what did she think?
She's like, what the fuck is this? She's like, how these people are insane.
Exactly.
She's like, this can't be real. That's not real blood, is it? I'm like,
it's real.
That's real blood, 100%. Like,
real.
Like that, like, I go, if that was fake, like that would go away. Like, Swerve was bleeding majority of that match.
Dude, I'm so shocked he did not faint and fall apart, dude.
And huge shout out to Prince Nana. Like, okay, so for all of you that don't know, like, Prince Nana is he's kind of like the hype manager guy for the embassy, and he does his dance and all that stuff. When near the end, when he pulls Swerve out
and stands
he
him
does
up,
the dance for him to hype him up. Oh my God, I was fucking dead.
Dude, it was awesome.
That match was incredible.
Yeah.
Like, if you're looking at, like, when you talk about death matches, okay, this was quintessential death match.
It was the best. It was the best.
Broken glass.
Yeah.
It had broken glass. It had barbed wire. It had blood and guts.
Yeah.
It was great. I loved it.
What they did really, really well was when there was a spot, they sold it, and they sold it multiple times. And with that being said, the finish was, he takes the chain, Swerve takes the chain, wraps around Adam's, neck,
and literally I'm thinking to myself, there's no way he's gonna like hang him, and he like pretty much does. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, it's in the title, death match. I mean,
yes,
you want to live up to what you're doing. That was it. That was, I mean, it was the perfect ending, right? And so I saw a bunch of tweets about it, and everybody had the same thought. Match of the year. I mean, it's I don't think
the blood drinking was the most unhinged shit
I'd never seen, and it was in such a beta way, you know, underneath him and whatnot. And I was just like, but it made it so alpha at the same time.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like, what the fuck is happening here? And, you know, to the point where Swerve's on the outside with barbed wire around his entire head.
Yeah.
You know, every aspect it was just wild. And this is all I can think of. It's like, you know, the WWE is they're literally astronauts in outer space. Okay.
Yeah.
If AEW tries to go to outer space, they're a bunch of space cadets, dude. They're not going to be able to roam around those planets and keep going further out in the galaxy. What they need to do is fucking do exactly what they're doing. Don't compete with the WWE in the regard of trying to create storylines that are in depth like the WWE, and don't follow that model. Keep doing what you're doing. You are the modern day WCW. You are the modern day ECW, and it shows. And when you have those ECW moments, that is it. There's the WWE can't compete with that Texas Death Match. It cannot compete with it, and it won't. And I pray that they don't change what they're doing, that they keep dive deeper into it. I had somebody tell me that they're like, AEW matches are so gimmicky. Well, you're right. They have to be. They have to be to get your eyeballs to pay attention, because the WWE is not. And you know what? I'm okay with it. You want to know why? Because that entire match, I was like, what else are they going to do? What else could these guys do? They're beating themselves to a bloody pulp, and then they go, oh, here, let me take this staple gun and just staple this piece of paper to your
finger painting. It was his kid's finger painting.
Oh my god,
that he did,
dude.
because there was a thing where Swerve went to Hangman Adam Page's house and like did a home invasion, did a crime, and so that was like him just fucking
sticking it to him.
Literally stapled a finger painting to Swerve's face. It was incredible.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for our most creative match of the year.
Yeah, awesome. Loved it.
Yeah. Okay. The next really got me because I'm a fan of these guys. You know, Chris Jericho. And what's his name? Help me out here. Why can't I think of his name?
Kenny Omega.
Thank God, dude.
Every time I go
to GameStop, they have these punchable buddies, AEW punchable buddies, and it's always Kenny Omega. And I always want to buy one because I think they'd be cool. One time I let my daughter come with me, and she literally went immediately. She goes, "Dad, look, it's wrestling." She took the fucking punchable buddy and just started punching it, dude, in the middle of the store. She went, "Ow, oh." And it's Kenny Omega, man. It was so great because Kenny Omega is such a hilarious character in his own right, where I really, really like what he does. He's like Captain Canada. And he's just like, he has his moments where he's funny. So I thought the punchable doll was amazing. But
it was a great match. I loved that match. It was awesome.
Oh, I was talking about a doll. I was talking about a doll.
Yeah, I know you're talking about the doll.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like one of the Wrestle Buddies.
Yeah. Well, this is, hold on. Before we get to the match, I wanted to talk about how I thought this name was just as hilarious. The fucking Golden Jets. Yeah. Why?
I don't know. It's fucking Chris Jericho. I don't know.
It's stupid, dude.
It's Chris. It's like, Chris Jericho was like high or something like that, and he's like, we've called our tag team the Golden Jets.
These guys are ridiculous, and then they're facing the Young Bucks, and I'm like, the Young Bucks can't do anything wrong. I feel like because they at one point they owned part of the company or some they helped found the company, so they're forever just there. Chris being Chris, and then Kenny being Kenny. The highlight to me was Kenny doing his little gun, his Western gun point that he does, and he did it at Chris, and then it ends up being that he focuses on the young bucks. I don't know.
You faked them out
for it.
It was listen. It was, if you've watched AEW for any extended period of time, watching this match, it was going to be a solid match at the end of the day. Like Chris Jericho can still fucking go. And then you have the Young Bucks, arguably the best tag team ever.
Yeah.
And you have Kenny Omega, who is easily one of the best wrestlers right now. And it was going to be a fucking just great match. And that's exactly what we got. We got a great match. And then Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, the Golden Jets.
Yeah, dude.
Coming out with a W.
Yeah. I did notice that Chris does not move as fast as Kenny, and he was not as agile as Kenny. I was like, Chris is getting old, starting to catch up with him a little bit. Now the following match kind of started on the pre-show.
So much drama.
You want to take this away? I think this is.
Yeah, I'll take this away. So the pre-show, you had MJF, who was in a match with the gun club, with the guns, and basically he got hurt, and he was carted away. He went in an ambulance. He was begging.
He won that match though.
Yeah. He begging. Because it was with Samoa Joe was also, there was Samoa Joe and MJF versus the Gun Club. He gets carted away. He's begging Adam Cole, don't let him take my title, blah blah blah. And then fast forward, we're at the main event. Adam Cole comes out like he's gonna fight fucking Jay White, and instead of MJF being there. And then last second, MJF steals a fucking ambulance, drives in, and he does the match. So my only gripe about this is it always seems like with the the main titles, it's the always hurt angle, and I fucking hate it. I hate that, like, and it like MJF has been, just he's always fucking hurt, and it's annoying. I've always hated, when you overdo the, he's hurt and he's uphill battle fucking bullshit. And that's what this was. I mean, it was a good match.
Yeah, he tried to sell it in the ring. Multiple times. If there's
one thing that MJF does well, he sells it.
Yeah.
He does a really good job selling.
He made it have an impact on the match. But overall, man, you're right. It's like, I thought the ambulance ride was really, really cool, and I didn't really look at it that way. But now that you bring it up, it is a consistent angle that they throw, and maybe that's because it is a sport, right? It's sports entertainment, wrestling, whatever you want to call it. It is a sport, and people do get injured, so maybe that's why we see this common theme quite a bit. I will say though, like, if anybody's going to pull it off, I'd rather see MJF than Cody Rhodes, right?
Yeah.
Because MJF, whatever he does, he sells really fucking well. He sold himself getting carted away better than 99% of the people who get carted away. So, don't let him take my title. That whole thing. I was like, well, where's this going? Just that initially, before he said that wasn't even a thought. I was like, oh, they're gonna have to cancel the match. Not that they were gonna hand the belt over to Jay White. So
that's what they were gonna do. They were gonna hand the belt over because Tony Schiavone came out.
Yeah, and
he's like, he basically told Jay White, shut the fuck up, guy. Okay, I got to do my thing. And he was about to announce that by default, because MJF couldn't go, that it was going to go to Jay White, and then that's when Adam Cole stepped in. He's like, I'm going to do the thing.
So that's it for AEW full year. 2 really, really awesome events this month. But right around the corner, right after the holiday, right after Thanksgiving, beginning of the month, man, we get a WWE Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Or wait, hold on. It's not. It's at the end of it's right. Is it this weekend?
It's this Sunday.
What? Wait, they had 2 pay-per-views this month?
Or Saturday. I don't know, but it's coming up.
Oh my God. Okay, so it's the 25th.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wait, what is the 20? What day is the 25th?
No way. Right?
25th Saturday. Yeah, it's Saturday.
What? It's not Black Friday. It's not Cyber Monday. It's Saturday.
Saturday. Let's fucking go, dude.
Yeah, dude.
We got so much wrestling.
So much wrestling, dude.
Yeah, let's burn through this.
Okay. Solo Sikoa versus LA Knight.
LA Knight's gonna win this one because it's literally like anything else would make zero fucking sense.
100%.
Because LA Knight is getting that push. LA Knight is going to be a champion.
Yep.
Within the near future.
Yeah.
Having him lose to someone like Solo Sikoa would be bad for the push.
Yeah.
If the only way that it wouldn't is if there was outside interference.
Yeah.
And it being the first match of the night, it leaves wiggle room for something like that to happen for shenanigans. But I think it's just a straight up win that LA Knight gets the W over Solo. It's just they want to keep that head of steam rolling.
100%. Carlito versus Santos Escobar. And this is what we were kind of talking about earlier.
Yeah.
The LWO, I believe we were talking about it earlier. LWO is just, got all kinds of weird stuff going on.
Yeah, there was a lot of weird shit that happened, especially like over the past 2 weeks. It's really ramped up.
Yeah.
You've had those rifts. You had,
Santos
Escobar. That's he's feeling alienated. With the bringing in of Carlito, and then Carlito calling him out, and it just creating this back and forth, and then fucking Santos Escobar snaps.
Well, this is what started it all, right? What started it all was the Logan Paul Rey Mysterio match. I knew this all tied together.
Yeah.
And it was the idea that Santos Escobar, Carlito calls Santos Escobar out and says, "Hey, you're the reason, that Rey lost. You set those brass knuckles down and in the ring." And he's not wrong. That's what happened.
He's not wrong. He dropped the ball.
Yeah. And so since then, I thought it was weird and wild and wacky a few months ago when Santos, was in the tournament with Rey to fight Theory. I was like, what the fuck is happening? And then Rey got hurt. He hurt Rey. You got to think about this. Way back when he concussed Rey. And so there's a lot of history with Santos Escobar being potentially jealous. And I think this is, I think story wise, best thing that could happen to Santos Escobar.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
We have talked about who the fuck is Santos Escobar and why should I care?
He's a heel now.
Yeah.
He's a heel now.
Also, Carlito is going to throw this man around like a rag doll. Carlito is whatever he's on, please give me some because he looks phenomenal, dude.
He's on that gear, baby.
And Carlito's first match back, I believe, in a singles match, he winning 100%.
He had a match not last week. I'm pretty sure
Against Bobby, a singles match?
I think he had a singles match not too long ago.
Well, this will be his
didn't win.
First on a main card. This will be his first on a main card.
Yeah.
There's too much stock in Carlito. Santos Escobar doesn't need the win. He needs a reality check.
Yeah. So I agree. I think Carlito wins this one.
Women's World Championship match between Rhea Ripley versus Zoe Stark. This has kind of been heading in that direction. I've talked about, I was really worried. I was like, what do they do with Zoe Stark after the Trish Stratus thing? They threw her in the deep end. I talked about how the house show, I didn't think that she, she got squashed on a house show. And then, next thing I know, she's in the fucking main event.
I think she stepped up in a big way.
Yeah.
To really establish herself as one of the,
dominant females,
dominant females in the division. I don't think she's going to win.
No. This is a way to make her a staple, if anything. But what a great, 2 back-to-back, headlining events, if you're in the ring with Rhea Ripley, you're doing something really right. Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Shotzi, and Becky Lynch versus Damage Control, Asuka, Bayley, Kairi Sane, and Io Sky in a WarGames match. I love the change up with Damage Control, having Kairi Sane back, having Asuka in there. I think it changes up the dynamic, and I think it sets up
one of the women in that group to have a little bit of a change.
You
know, a little bit of a little. There was like little hints, little illusions, alluding to, you know, a little bit of a shakeup with leadership within Damage Control. And we may have which I would love, and I've been hoping for, a face run with one of them, Bailey. I think I think at some point this match is going to lead to her being the odd man out. And who wins this match, to me, doesn't really matter. I think with this match, this is a story progression match.
I think in order, I think you're onto something, but you're missing something. I think, this is always me. I go above and beyond and way too far, and just instead of keeping it basically what it should be. When you think about that, I think you're right. I think with what Damage Control is doing, you know, the idea of, like I said, Io Sky as a single performer does not do much for me. However, her in Damage Control definitely increases her stock, makes it more interesting, because that faction is changing. And when you bring in Kairi Sane and Asuka, it is dominant and there's certain people that look very on the outside looking in, which is what's her name? I forgot. I'm having a moment. Damage Control.
Wait, which one? Which member?
Bailey. God.
Bailey. Okay.
Yeah, having a moment.
Get it together, man.
I know. Sorry. Io Sky. You know, this would be huge for Io, I think.
Yeah.
If they lose, because what it does is it shows that like Bailey's the problem,
right?
And we could have a faction that is purely just Japanese, that we've never seen anything like this.
Well, I mean, Dakota's not. I mean,
well, but she's like not even. She's like the ring girl at this point.
Well, because she's broken right now.
Yeah. I heard she's on her way back, but
yeah. Well, I mean, and that makes sense because like she was even in on bringing Kairi Sane into the faction, right? So.
She also kind of dresses more the part, looks more the part, seems more the part.
Yeah,
there's like an anime thing going on here. I don't, dude, that's what I'm seeing. When I see the girl you just mentioned, I don't have her name in front of me. Okay. Yeah, she looks like she does her hair that I'm Sailor Moon, you know, like that. That's how it looks to me, dude. And so,
hey, you leave my anime alone, okay?
Right?
My anime girls alone. You leave it alone.
But Bailey is so far from that.
She's out of it. Right, I get it.
And it's, you know, it would make the most sense for them to lose and them to turn on Bailey. And I think you're right.
And I think that's more so what's going to happen.
And you know what? I think it's good because we live in a world where in pro wrestling right now, factions are everything. And if you're in, you're the cool kid, right? But I also think that there's a part of the wrestling world that has been looking for this anime-esque New Japan thing to go and be like streamlined to the mainstream.
But yeah, like I think her being a face in some facet is going to be good. I don't think they're going to go back to Hugger Bailey. I don't think it's going to be that over the top. I think she is going to be a face. I think whatever they do, it's going to be fine.
You think it's going to work?
It's going to be fine. Okay. I think it'll work with Bailey. I do. I think whatever she's given, she does well. I think she's a great heel.
Yeah.
You know, I think she does really well as a heel. Yeah. You know, like the way that she, you know, kind of panders to the audience where she's like, shut up, nerds, and all that shit. Like, I think it's genius. It's awesome.
It's pretty good.
She's a really good heel. And I think if they, you know, whatever direction that they give her with being a face or maybe something in between, I think it's going to work.
All right.
And I think it'll be great for her. So
in a WarGames setting, you have Damage Control versus Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Shotzi, Becky Lynch. I think we've covered it. Just to make it very clear, I'm going with Damage Control losing, specifically to turn on Bailey. And I would not be shocked if it happened right then, right there.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
If not, then following Monday.
Yeah. Your final headliner match, main event of the 2023 WWE Survivor Series is another WarGames match. Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso and Seth Rollins versus the Judgment Day, Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, and JD McDonough. First things first, JD McDonough, has he officially become a Judgment?
Yeah, they gave him a fucking jacket and everything.
Oh wow! Well, good for him. Congratulations.
Yeah, he's Facebook official.
Yeah, dude, he's in the hottest faction in WWE. So
yeah,
wow.
like Damian Priest gave him a jacket. He's like, here you go, you fucking deserve this one.
You know what's crazy is they seem really like, yeah, man, we're family at the moment.
Fuck you, guy.
Which is so funny because I feel like this would have been the fit for Sammy. Like, I mean, storytelling wise, like this is Sami Zayn's such a dedicated guy, but he's not evil, right? But these guys actually feel like they're acting like they're a family, which is really interesting, and I think it's made the Judgment Day such an interesting thing to watch each week. Regarding
best faction right now.
The family members or the family mentality. I will tell you this though, man. 2 of those guys were in last year's WarGames, who they have an edge because last year was the first year that WWE had ever done WarGames on a main pay-per-view. They had done it in NXT, but they had never done it in WWE. So if you're looking at it from a statistic standpoint, Sami Zayn and Jey Uso were both on the winning side in WarGames. Think about that.
Generals gathered in their masses.
Yeah. And to take this to a completely different world, Seth Rollins is and Cody Rhodes both have really good steel cage Hell in a Cell style matches.
Yeah.
So you look at Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, and JD McDonough, and what? I mean, it's not even close. In my eyes, I think they'll make it for a fun match for sure, and there'll be some ups and downs. But if you're looking at this from a statistical standpoint, like in these style matches, who gets down and dirty? And I'll tell you right now, it's not your prison inmate Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah, like on paper, fucking you got the experience on the side of the good guys.
Yeah,
and. I think one thing that's we've also talked about it a little bit with when we were talking about Crown Jewel. I think that there's going to be a factor that's thrown into the situation to kind of put it in favor of the Judgment Day, and we're talking about that freelancer hired gun Drew McIntyre.
Totally forgot about him. Totally forgot.
So we don't know what his role is with the Judgment Day, or if this is a one and done thing or what. But I do think that's going to be a factor in this match. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. I do think Judgment Day wins this. If Drew McIntyre is a part of it, I think that's what you have. But if not, then you're going to have Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, Jay, and Seth winning. That's kind of mine. That's my an if then type situation.
I love it. I've got a rebuttal or a add-on, I guess you could say. Yeah. Since you're going to throw that out there, I'm going to throw out the idea of another return. Okay, and the idea that this becomes 5-on-4 immediately. Mm-hmm. But then you get the return of
Randy
Orton. But I also want to throw this out there too. I was going to save that one. What I was thinking of was the fact that it's in Chicago.
Yeah.
And there's been all this speculation.
God.
Dude, there's been all this speculation. What if CM Punk was to return in the main event, dude?
I hope you get a UTI if that happens, man.
Dude,
I swear to God, putting that out there, like, listen, I'll be fucking pissed.
It is so far-fetched, I feel like, but so not far-fetched. It makes so much sense and would be so stupid.
Well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I think we've thrown out some pretty compelling scenarios with this main event. Yeah. It's Survivor Series. It's it's kind of one of those pivotal pay-per-views that kind of sets the tone for Road to WrestleMania.
It's exciting, man.
It is. I'm super jazzed up about it. I mean, dude, we have so much fucking wrestling.
It's insane
going on, and it's so cool to talk about.
Exciting.
It's super exciting.
Yeah.
And just, like we can do our dances.
Do your dance. Yeah, dude. Enjoy all of it, man. Okay. Well, with that being said, this wraps up another episode of the Lower Midcard Podcast. See you later.